Bay, we're with you for another week to talk about the Tampa Bay real estate market here on the Duncan Duo Show. And I want to start off the show talking about the real estate market in December. And I think one of the interesting things about our real estate market is that we have a lot of Northerners in Tampa Bay, and when you have a lot of Northerners, the one challenge with that is that they have a preconceived notion about what's going on in real estate. And the struggle with that is that they may come from New York or Indiana or Michigan or even Texas in some cases. And, obviously Texas isn't northern, but, they come from other areas of the country where there's this preconceived notion that in the winter it's a bad idea to buy and it's a bad idea to sell. And it's based on the weather, and so people are naturally making those decisions because they know that the weather has a dramatic impact on real estate, not just on people wanting to go out in it, but then people's emotional bonding to a home. It's really hard to get excited about how great a yard is if it's covered in snow, and so for all those reasons, there's this perception that it's a bad time to buy or sell during the winter, and half of Tampa Bay comes from somewhere else. So ipso facto, what do we get? A lot of that kind of thought pattern, and the reality is in our market that's just not the case. And every year we preach this, but this December is probably one of the best times that I've seen in a long time to buy as well as sell. For a variety of different reasons. So if you have that preconceived notion, scrub it away. And Mike, I know you've got some reasons too, but December is not the time for you to pack it up and wait till next year.
Right. Well, so we have a couple different things that work for us too that other parts of the market or country don't, other than the weather. So we have our homestead exemption. If you close by the end of the year, you qualify for that, as long as you don't forget to apply for it.
Exactly.
For the following tax year. But we also get a lot of the people that are visiting from up north that, come down here every year and finally decide, I'm just going to buy a second home, with the intent to retire here. So we get a lot of second-time home purchases during this time of year as well.
And I think the other thing that this market is unique for, which is why, December being the slowest month of the year, won't necessarily be the case this year. And I don't think December is ever the slowest month in Tampa. I think it's generally January or February. But December for us has always been a great month. But unique to this year, you had a drastic seller's market during the spring and summer, and a lot of home buyers get frustrated and jump out of the market. And now, they have this desire to jump back in. We also know that people take a lot of vacation in the spring and summer, so they have a lot of time to look and focus and find that home. The same thing happens in December. A lot of time off, a lot of vacations, a lot of people that maybe miss the mark during the spring and summer saying, you know what, I didn't get it done in July. I still want to buy a home. I'm going to have a couple of weeks off here. Let me focus on it now. And every year our business sees a little bit of a surge around this time because, let's face it, there's a lot of real estate agents that just quit working about November 28th. They check out for the year and they're done. And we don't. We keep our the pedal to the metal and keep working for our customers. And so every year we seem to get a little bit of a surge around December. And I've said it. Years past, smart money's buying and selling in December.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of investors that want to get rid of homes this time of year. Another thing, too, and you mentioned it a little earlier with how hot of a market we had and big-time sellers market, it seems like they're starting to get a little bit more inventory out there, too. So, all the buyers that may have missed out in the multiple offer situation through the spring and summer, there might be more opportunities or more homes available for them now to take a look at. So.
And I think that aligns well with sellers that have been sitting on the fence or maybe didn't sell and they're deciding to put it back on the market in the new year and maybe jump in the market and doing it now, because there is that surge of buyer audience out there saying, you know what, I missed out, now I'm ready to look again. And let's face it, I think both buyers and sellers can understand that buyers and sellers that are selling during the holidays are more likely, they're motivated, so
right.
So some good deals can happen. Sellers can kind of knock something out now so they can start fresh, in the new year. Buyers can get something done now and potentially the homestead exemption. I mean, there's not a lot of time for that left. I mean, if they call Atlantic Bay Mortgage, they can get a 3.
It'll be tough, but it'll
be a challenge,
can make it happen.
But nonetheless, there is that possibility, and I think that a lot of people that have been, you know, sitting on the sidelines. There's some data out there and some trends that point clearly that, hey, look, you shouldn't wait until the new year. I'm always a believer when it comes to real estate, when it comes to stocks, when it comes to any kind of investment. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are followers. They want to go do stuff when everyone else is doing it. And the problem is if you're doing it when everyone else is doing it, you probably miss the best opportunities. And so I'm a believer that you should do it. If it's the right call for you, you should do it not necessarily when everyone else is doing it. We know everyone else is going to do it in the spring and summer. Maybe you can get a better deal now, you know, as a seller or a buyer by beating the inventory to the market as a seller, or as a buyer by, you know, showing up when some more inventory hits the market at a time when, you know, maybe you can negotiate a better deal because, you know, maybe there's not as many people thinking like you to look during the holidays. So the holidays, and for me as an investor, if you're someone out there that's investing in real estate, looking to buy a second home, buying a rental property, buying an Airbnb, whatever it is, you know, every year in December that I can remember, including this year, I get an incredible investment deal. I find an incredible investment opportunity. So, and the reason for that, in my opinion, is you get some sellers that just say, you know what, I want to get this done this year. But you also are able to capitalize on an opportunity because not as many people are paying attention. They're buying Christmas gifts and making their holiday plans.
I think one thing that we haven't really mentioned as well that happens a lot of people, you know, not really starting their lives over, but get new jobs at the beginning of the year, may want to relocate, but wait till the beginning of the year. So, you know, there might be that opportunity for that better deal because, you know, hey, I want to get out of here. I want to.
Yeah, and I think
life.
You know, so that fresh new year, you know, whether it's, you know, the you know, like you said, starting a new job. There's also a lot of military relocation this time of year. You know, crazily, there's a lot of divorce. Hey, let's face it, the holidays can be pretty stressful.
Right.
So there's some of those startovers where, you know, you've got people going out and looking for new homes again. It's just a time, you know, it's kind of, I think that whole idea of a New Year's resolution, I think a lot of people at the New Year kind of have a vision for resetting their life and kind of resetting their goals and establishing new things. And, you know, chief among those in many instances is housing. So it's always top of mind for people. But the perception that, you know, that it's some sort of really tough time to buy or a bad time to sell is definitely a perception of a northern market. It's not a perception of a Florida market where we get basically maybe one day where it will freeze. I mean, maybe one day. Usually in the 40s, we're not getting snow and sleet and ice and cold. I mean, look, it was a little chilly.
We had our winter last week.
It was a little. We had a couple of chilly days this week, but the reality is that has a negligible impact compared to you know, real estate markets where, you know, it snows and the snow stays on the ground for months and it keeps snowing.
You know, me being from Virginia, it doesn't snow a ton there, but we would usually get 2 to 3 snowstorms a year, and it completely shuts down.
Yeah,
the winter
and from Indiana, we would get more than that.
Right.
You know, you get some lake effect stuff, you know, with the Great Lakes, and you know, so it snowed more than 2 or 3 times, and same thing. The real estate market there really does slow to a halt because it just causes so many other challenges with real estate, but that just doesn't happen here. And again, do we have some seasonal fluctuations? Of course, you know. Is it anything like the northern snow markets? No, not at all.
Not at all.
So again, you know, I think again this December, you know, could be a record-breaking December for all of those reasons. I feel like our company is seeing a little bit of a surge now. We had you know, a dip in the number of our pending sales in October and November, and that seems to be rising a good bit now. So you know, we're really excited about the predictions for and our expectations for 2019. So the other thing, and I think this is something that's really important too, you know, kind of going back to that same point, you've seen interest rates rise and you've seen prices rise this year. If there is an opportunity for you to make up some difference in some of that perceptive loss, in other words, you're saying, you know what, rates have risen and prices have risen and now it's more unaffordable, maybe you can get a good enough deal to make up some of that difference.
Right,
you know,
yeah, it might help offset
seller.
it. If you were, you know, like that seller that has to get out, maybe you can get a little bit off the price to offset that and kind of get it back to what it was.
Correct. So again, don't make sure, don't hesitate to focus on continuing your pursuit to buy or sell during the holidays, and don't let your preconceived notion from a northern real estate market where you might have grown up come into play here, because it's just not relevant. So